a little while ago, Tilly and the Buttons increased their sizes by a couple of sizes. I was really pleased to find out that their measurement fit with my measurements. So I held a poll to see if you guys would like a Tilly and the Buttons review, and 95% of you came back and said yes please. So that's what today's video is. It's in collaboration with Sullivan. We've both sewn up the Indigo dress, so if you want to know more, stay tuned. Hi, welcome back. If we're just meeting, my name's Claire. On this channel, I talk about plus size dressmaking. The aim is to help you feel more confident in the clothes that you're making for yourself. So if that sounds interesting to you, do hit the subscribe button down below, because I bring videos to you once to twice per week. So a little while ago, I did a chatty vlog, which I will link there in case you haven't seen it, where I did talk about some health issues. I'm not going to go into it now, but I will give you an update right at the end of the video. So if you're interested in that, do stick to the end of the video. So this is a collaboration with Sullivan. I'll put her picture here so you can see. Do go over and subscribe to her. This is the second collaboration that I've done with her. We did the Zadie jumpsuit, which I will link above in case you haven't seen that. That was quite some time ago, and we said at the time that we wanted to collab again, and we have now decided to collab on the Indigo. I'd seen on her video that we had originally suggested another pattern between us, but I saw on her video she wanted to make the Indigo, and I just bought it myself, so it made perfect sense. And we're both very different body types, so it may be interesting for you to see how the dress is made up on two very different body types. So do make sure after you've watched this video to head over to Megan's channel, watch her video and subscribe to her as well. She's in the military, she's got 2 dogs and a husband, and she doesn't post as often as I do, but I really do like her content. If you like quilting, she's just kind of getting into that as well. So you might like to check her out for that. But she is mainly just dressmaking. So I'll put a picture up of the Indigo if you haven't seen it. If you haven't, you must be living under a rock, because this pattern has been absolutely everywhere. I'm a little bit late to the party, in fact. It came out some months ago, and it was really popular, as all Tilly patterns are when it came out. And I've only just come to it now, and I can't believe I waited so long, honestly. So it's a floaty smock dress. It's got gathers at the waist. It's got, like, I'm wearing it so you can see. So I've got a mid to high neckline. It's got set-in sleeves. You can have flutter on the sleeves. You can have flutter sleeves if you like, but I didn't choose to do that, and it just comes to like your knee. It's a very floaty, free-flowing dress. So this is a little bit of a departure from my usual style. I normally go for a more fitted bodice, and that's just because I feel that that's more flattering on my shape. But I really wanted to try this, and so I gave it a go. So it's got bust darts here. There's no darts at the waist because it is gathered in, and it's got a little bit of room. I took some videos, so I'll overlay that here, but you can see it is quite a loose style. It's not as loose on me as it is on some people, but I like it. And I did think about putting ties in, but I didn't want to accentuate that tummy area. But for some people, particularly slimmer people who like the pattern, but they like something a bit more fitted, or they feel a bit more comfortable with something fitted, they've been adding ties and tying it back, and that gives a different but equally lovely look, I think. It also comes with a neck facing. Now, I never used the neck facing. I've made 3 of these. Well, my 3rd one is still in process. As you can see here, I've got the one I'm wearing, which is a double gauze. I've got a blue one here, which was in my previous videos, and I've started making this one, which you'd have seen this fabric in my fabric haul. It's a Minerva fabric, and I'm most of the way through making that now. So let's talk a bit about the brand of Tilly and the Buttons. Tilly and the Buttons have been around as long as I've been sewing. They were one of the very early pattern designers, and actually I fell in love with sewing. If you've watched my channel for any length of time, you'll know that I fell in love with sewing due to Tilly's first book, Love at First Stitch. It really captured my attention. I loved the style of the clothes, I loved the bright colours and the aesthetic of her brand, and that was the first patterns I was sewing up. But I very quickly got a little bit fed up that none of her clothes would fit into my size, and I didn't want to grade them up, so I kind of forgot about her for quite a while. But now that I know that she's adding extra sizes, she has recently added 2 extra sizes. So previously she went up to a size 8 and now she goes up to a size 10. I'm just looking at her all over again because I really did love her brand, and I do love her patterns. I don't fall in love with every single pattern she brings out. Like, she's just brought out a dungaree pattern, which isn't really for me, so I won't be making that one. But there are lots of her patterns that I do absolutely love, and I just hope that one day she will go back and grade up some of the other patterns, because there's a whole host that I would snap up just like that if I could. But today is about the Indigo. So currently, I'm going to put their sizing up on screen so you can see for yourself what the sizing is specifically. But they've only got a few patterns in that extra sizing at the moment. So they've got the Indigo, which is the one I've done. There's the Stevie top, which I am tempted to do. The one that's got the bow at the back. And the one they've just released, which is the Bobby Dungarees, which I won't be attempting. I have heard that the book they've just released is in those extra sizes, so I am very tempted to get the book. If you'd be interested in me working my way through that book, do leave a comment down below. It is something I'm really considering, but I'd like to know that there's a demand for it. But I'll probably buy the book anyway, because I am sorely tempted. I'm just going to wait till it comes down in price a little bit. So printing off and tracing. So this pattern comes with an A4 and an A0 document. Now, I sent off the A0 to be printed, and that's with a lady called Liz Williams. She is on Facebook as In Stitches, I think she's called. But if you can't find her, leave a comment below and let me know, and I'll give you her details. So I had it printed off on A0, and then I traced off the A0. So I made some adaptations as I was going when I was tracing it off, the ones that I knew that I would need, and then I did a few more afterwards. The adaptations I made before I made my toile was that I lowered the bust dart by 1 inch. So on your body you need to measure from your shoulder point down to your apex, and then you need to add your seam allowance to that number. Note that down. So I'm just going to note 14 plus 2.5. I'm going to sew this up at 1/4 inch seam allowance to give me a little bit more room. So I've just added 1/4 inch, so that's 4.25, and that's how long I need it from there down to my apex. So when you measure your shoulder to your apex on your pattern piece, you'll need to do it along the grain line. So I've measured my ruler up on the grain line, and I'm just going to move it over to the apex and position it. And I also brought the sleeve head in by 1/2 inch. The shoulder seam is what I mean. I brought that in 1/2 inch just because I'd measured it and it was a little bit too long. So the next adjustment is to bring in the shoulders 1/2 inch. I've marked it there, and I just want to end it about halfway, about there. So you just get your curve. So you look for a similar curve and then just move it over and just go like that. And because that's on 2 different curves, you just go like that. And then you'll just want to cut it on that line, and you need to do the same for the back. Get your paper scissors and just trim it away. There's the extra bits that I took out of the shoulder seam. Now that's a bit better. Just a quick word about the way I've done it. It is a quick and dirty way. Just beware that when you measure in and then adapt the curve, it will change the length of your arm side, but as this pattern has gathers in the sleeve head, that won't be an issue because you can just adjust the gathers. But if it didn't have gathers, you may want to look at doing it another way, which is cutting in to the shoulder seam, but I'll show you how to do that another time on another pattern. So then I made up a twirl. I'm going to insert some footage now of that twirl. Right, so here is my twirl of the indigo. It's just the top half. I haven't done the flounce. I've extended this 3 inches down. I think the bust area fits pretty well. Got to take a little tiny bit of excess out of there, and I'll show you how I do that. And I want to take the shoulder in 1/2 inch as well. I'm going to do a bicep adjustment because when I bend my arm it's quite tight. I need a little bit more ease, probably another inch. I have lowered my bust point so the points come to there, which is pretty much on my apex. So I'm going to bring the darts back down about 1 inch so they won't be pointy. Sleeve's too long for me. I'm going to have it to my elbow and I'm not going to do a flounce on it. So after I made my twirl, there was a few more tweaks that I needed to do. I've drawn my dart in on ink so you can see it on camera. I've already lowered this dart, which I did when I was tracing out, so I can't show you it now, but I will show you at another time. There is a video on my channel on how to lower a dart. I'll link that above and it'll be in my description box as well. I just need to bring it in as it's too close to my apex, so I'm going to bring it in by 1 inch. So I just measure from the point there 1 inch in. So I've just marked it 1 inch in from where it's sitting at the moment, and I've redrafted the lines so that the dart meets at this point. So now I want to rotate about 1/4 inch out of the neckline into this dart. So here's my notch here. We need to draw a line from the dart point to the notch like that. We want to cut that line and cut one of the legs of the dart. But you don't want to cut through the apex, just up to it. So now I've got freedom to move this. You've got to remember, whatever you're reducing it by, it will be double because this is obviously on the fold. So I'm just going to reduce it by 1/4 inch because I only want to take it in by about 1/2 inch. Then you just lap it over. Let me get my sellotape. So you just fold it over to the point where you want to move it in. Sellotape it down, and as you'll see over here, there is a little bit of a gap under the dart, and that's just moved the excess from up here into the dart. I've just got a thin bit of paper that I'm going to slot underneath, and then I'll sellotape that down. So now we have to true up the sides. So you'll see there my bit of paper is sticking out, and I'm just going to chop off the side like that. On here there's a bit of a jog there. I don't know if you can see, there is a little bit of a jog just there. So I just need my curve Frederick to just even that out. So I've just drawn a line there to match up that. So I've cut that off. Now it's perfect. So once I made those adjustments, I didn't want to do another twirl. I was quite confident that I could get a good fit from that. So I then cut out my fashion fabric, which was the fashion fabric that I'm wearing now, and this was double gauze. Now in terms of fabrics, I did have a little bit of I don't know, a little bit of indecisiveness about my fabrics, because I'd originally decided that I was going to make it out of a poplin from Minerva. If you saw my fabric haul, it was the navy flowers. I was chatting to Megan, and like between us we kind of decided that poplin wasn't going to work really, and so I had to look through my stash, and this was the most obvious thing that I could come up with. My only issue was it was very, very thin and see-through. It wasn't opaque at all, but I was thinking it'd be okay once it's against my skin. So I decided to cut this out and sew it up. Oh, another adjustment I made was to lengthen my bodice. So I actually lengthened the bodice by 3 inches. And I'll show you where it comes to now. So it comes to there. So my natural waist is, look, that's my natural waist. So it is still high. But can you imagine if I hadn't brought that down by 3 inches, it would have been right on my bust line. So it would have been like Empire line. So I brought the bodice down by 3 inches, but I forgot to reduce the skirt by that amount. So once I'd made it up, I did have to take quite a few inches off the skirt. I think I ended up taking 5 inches off, because it comes to about the knee naturally, or just below my knee, but I didn't want it that long. I wanted it above the knee. So I took a couple of inches off because of that, and obviously the 3 inches that I had lengthened the bodice by, and I did a really nice deep hem on it as well. As you can see, this is the inside of my dress, but you can see how see-through it is there. So I made it up, and I added my own bias binding to the neckline. Tried it on, loved it. It was so free-flowing and all the rest of it, but you could see through it and it didn't look very good. So I reluctantly decided that I was going to have to put a lining on. So I unpicked my neckline. The pattern doesn't come with a lining, so all I did was just make up the pattern piece again, but I didn't make the arms up. So I just made it as if it was a sleeveless top or dress. I added the skirt as well, even though I would be wearing black leggings, because I just think it looks a bit nicer. Probably should have made the skirt a little bit shorter than I did, but it's just about okay. And then I just sewed it at the neckline, which I did about an hour ago, if I'm honest, because I just wanted to get it done so I could film this video. It gives a different look because it's not quite so free-flowing, because it's essentially a thicker fabric when you add a lining, but I do still like it. This is my beast that is destroying my videos. Fred, look at all your subscribers, Frederick. He is the overlord, aren't you, Frederick? Look at all that fur flying everywhere. You're going to let me do my video then? It's sewed up like a dream. There's not actually that many gathers in the waistline, so it's not really an issue that it protrudes, but you've got to bear in mind that I've got a lining with gathers underneath as well. The dark came out really well. There's loads of gathers there, and I think it's because I gathered it notch to notch, and I should have done it like further down to give it more room. Plus I did French seams, so that didn't help. But I just decided, because there was gathers here, and it's a free flowing, it's also double gauze, which is like a creasy type of fabric, I just went with it, and I thought it's part of the look of it. So I do think the shoulders could have come in a little bit more, which is what I did for my next version. But I was absolutely in love with this. It fits so well, it's so comfortable. I have never had a woven garment fit me so well. And I think it's partly that it is loose fitting, so it's more comfortable because of that. But it's also, I kind of knew what to do to get the right fit with this from the off. And although I made quite a few changes, because if you look at it, I lowered the dart, I took the dart back, I took some excess out of the neckline, I did a bicep adjustment, I lowered the bodice, and I shortened the skirt. So if you think about it like that, there were quite a few changes that I did make, but they were just small tweaks really. In the past, I've made that amount of adjustments and I still had a really bad fit. So I'm really, really happy that I got a good fit out of this, and it encouraged me to make more. So on a whim, I decided, rather than sewing the neckline on this, I decided I'd make a whole new one. And that was this one, which you saw me wearing in my other two videos. So the only difference I did with this one was I brought the shoulders in 1/2 inch more. I'm going to put some footage in of me wearing this one so you can see it properly. So this fabric is a viscose, if you see close up there. Now, I bought this about 3 years ago. I originally had bought it as a lining for a coat when I didn't understand fabrics and I didn't know what I was buying. I just thought a viscose would be nice and it would look nice inside. But it's not very slippery at all. It's quite a matte feel. It feels like that Tencel. I've got some Tencel and it feels very similar to that. Or maybe like a peach skin. I'm not 100% convinced this is viscose, but that's what it was sold as. And I had 3 meters of this, and I think I used about 2.5 meters. That's another good thing about this pattern. Considering it's a gathered skirt, it doesn't actually use a massive amount of fabric. It is really blowing a gale outside now, so I do apologise if you can hear this. I was so happy with that one that I made there that I decided to make a third one. And this isn't finished yet. As you can see, the neck's not done, but I'm going to put some bias binding on that, and I need to attach the skirt. And this one's very see-through as well. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm going to need to wear a slip underneath or some dark clothes. I do have a cami that I might wear. This is a hugely successful pattern for me, probably one of the more successful patterns I've had in a long while. The sienna was also a really good fit from Closet Case, and I think it's partly that I'm sort of understanding more about my body and what changes I need to make to the patterns in order to get a good fit. So in terms of the instructions, I didn't follow them really at all, but I did have a look through them before I started because I just wanted to remind myself. Now, Tilly's patterns are notorious for having fantastic instructions, so you really cannot fault the instructions. And if you're a new sewer, she really does hold your hand throughout. Looking at them, I did think that I would have changed the order that she did them in. Basically, when I'm making a garment, when I'm constructing a garment, I am all about the path of least resistance. So you want to work, or I like to work with smaller pieces. Smaller pieces are easier to handle. And obviously with the skirt, I would hem the skirt before I attach the skirt to the main body. It's just that if you've got less fabric, it's much easier to manage than if you've got lots, and that is a tip that I wish I'd known when I first started sewing. If you fit within Tilly's measurements, I would wholly recommend that you do give this pattern a go, because it is just, in my eyes, it is so well drafted. She really does know, or her pattern cutter does know, how to draft a good pattern, and I was so impressed with it. Now, one thing I haven't mentioned is that it doesn't come with cup sizes. Now, I think Tilly's patterns are based on a B cup, and I didn't do a full bust adjustment. And it is, as you can see, it's fine, and I don't need a full bust adjustment. If you are very big busted, you may need to do that. One thing I was really impressed with is on most skirts, my back skirt comes up higher than my front skirt because my bum protrudes out, and so it brings the fabric up. But that didn't happen, and I think it's down to the way that the bodice was drafted. I think the back goes down a bit lower than the front, and the front does come up at the front a little bit. It's almost like a high-low hem, even though the front skirt and the back skirt are the same piece on the pattern pieces. But I think the way the bodice is drafted makes that happen, and I did study the pictures on her website, and I think it is intended to do that, because initially I was going to do a full bust adjustment so that it would level out the front, because it would drop the front hem a little bit. But then I decided that I didn't need to do that, because looking at the product pictures on her website, it does look like it's intended to do that, because it happens on quite a few people, even more flat-chested people. So I just left it as it is, and I'm really, really happy with it. I'm going to have 3 outfits in this one, and I'm really stepping up my game with my clothes that I'm wearing. Compared to last year, I didn't really have any clothes that I felt super confident in or super capable to wear. And this year that's changing. I've just tested for Nina Lee, tested the South Bank sweater. That may well be the next video that's coming out, actually. I want to get that video out at the same time that she's releasing the extra sizes. But I've got a really good fit out of that as well. And I've got quite a few dresses that are now fitting me really, really well. So I'm really pleased about that. So just before I go, I just want to speak a little bit about my health. I did a video which was a chatty video, and I did talk about the fact that the doctors had found an adenoma in my stomach. When I talked about that, I really wasn't in a very good place, because I was very, very scared about what that meant, particularly as I'd been told by a doctor that it could be cancer, when she had no basis for that. So my head was all over the place, and I spoke to you guys, and I just want to say thank you, because you were so, so supportive, far more than I expected. I thought I might get a couple of comments, but so I got loads and loads of love from you guys, and it really helped to pick me up a little bit at a time when I was very, very scared. I still don't have my results, believe it or not. It's been, I think it's 6 weeks now since I had the biopsy, and I don't have my results yet. However, I have been badgering the hospital. I was ringing them on a daily basis once the 4 weeks was up, and they did eventually come back to me, and I spoke to someone who confirmed that it's not cancer, thankfully. So I'm in a much better place now than I was a couple of weeks ago. But I just want to say thank you for hanging in there with my filler videos. You know, I was doing videos such as fabric hauls and pattern hauls and all my makes from last year, etc. And they were mainly because I wasn't focused on making clothes so much, because I was so anxious and I didn't know what was going on. I couldn't think straight. And so I was putting in a few filler videos, so thank you for supporting me with that. But I'm hoping to get back to more regular review videos, as today's been a review. I've just bought the cashmerette cardigan. Now you guys know, if you've been following me for any length of time, you know full well that I have been looking for this cardigan. I've hunted high and low, it just was not out there. And then she announced it, and I went and bought it instantly. So I have just traced those pattern pieces off, and I will be making that soon. So do look out for that video. But getting back to my health, yeah, it's been a difficult time, and the YouTube has really, really helped me with that. I now know it's not cancer, and that's a massive relief. I suspect that they're going to confirm it is an adenoma, and if it is an adenoma, then I am going to have that removed. And there's lots of questions around how that's going to happen. I don't have any of the answers right now, but I will update you once I see the doctor. I'm due to see the doctor at the end of the month, so it's a few weeks wait yet. Hopefully it's something that can be fixed quite easily. And I've been having quite a lot of stomach problems, but for anyone with stomach issues, I've been taking magnesium the last few days, and it's eased it up significantly. So I'm really, really pleased with that. But anyway, this is completely off topic. It's not dressmaking, is it? But I just wanted to update you guys, because I knew that some of you were quite concerned. So thank you for that, and thank you for sticking with me. If you are new to my channel and you've watched to the end, do hit the subscribe button. hit like on the video. If you subscribe, if you like, if you comment, all those things, it really does help my channel. It tells YouTube that you like my content, and then it'll share my videos out to more people. So if you could just do those things, it would really, really help me. If you'd like to support my channel further, I do have a Coffee account, and that's at ko-fi.com/penguinandpear, where you can donate anything as little as $3 and upwards. So let me know if you've made the Indigo and what you thought of it. I'd really like your opinions. Are you as happy with it as I am? Do leave me a comment down below. So until next time, happy sewing. Bye for now.
You can fly higher than